Hi, this is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach, and I'm so thankful that you are here today. This is a special time in the year. It is Passover week, and so coming to you a little differently than normal today, in a different spot. Well, I was in this spot last week, but you know what I'm saying. I hope you've had a fabulous week. I missed you last week. And if it's your first time here, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me tonight. I have really just one thought to share with you today, and it's, are you in your own way? Have you been in your own way? And for so many of us, the answer is yes, but we may not have known it, or we don't know it in a deep way, a way that's been really stunting our growth. So I don't know about you, but I've been in a place where things feel like they should be going well, but in your heart, it feels something doesn't feel right, and you may not even be able to find out where that is. Like, what do you mean? My kids are happy, and I seem to be doing all right, and needs are met, but something still inside feels, this still doesn't feel quite right, and I'm not sure how to get to the next level. Well, sometimes we're in our own way. If it's your first time here and you're like, what's a rebound coach? You introduced yourself as the rebound coach. What exactly is that? I don't understand. First of all, thanks for hanging out with us. I will share just really briefly about myself and how we got to sharing this moment here together today. So, here's the big news, guys. I unfortunately was married 10 years to a gentleman who did not want me to be alive. And I lived through a 10-year abusive relationship, abusive marriage. It was physically, but mostly spiritually, emotionally, financially abusive. And that didn't make sense for somebody like me. I was raised in a good Christian home. I had good Christian parents. They loved God. They loved each other. They were married for a lifetime. At the same time, I was molested from the time I was eight years old to the time I was 16. And that really changes how you see yourself in a household of faith, how I related to God, and how I related to men. And so fast forward, when I met the man that I married and eventually divorced, there were definitely red flags. There were definitely signs that this was not going to be easy, but I wasn't signing on for easy, I am a praying woman. I was a praying woman then, and I believe that God said yes. And because of that, I believe that whatever trouble would come, whatever challenges would come, we would just overcome them. We would outlast them. They would be turned around. And y'all, trouble came right away. It wasn't, as some women talk about, a honeymoon period, and then surprise, you have somebody who's not so nice. This trouble came right away and never quite left. It got to be a cycle of what I call coping and crisis, which is where you're kind of barely making it. You're walking on eggshells. You found a way to kind of get through every day, and then eventually there's some sort of crisis. Everything comes tumbling down. Things are a mess. You'll have to recoup from that. So we would recoup from the crisis, and we'd go back into coping. And then we'd do that for a while and go back into crisis. And so that cycle lasted years, actually. And as the years went on, the crises got worse and worse, and the time between them got shorter. And things kind of came to a head toward the end of 2019, beginning of 2020. He eventually left for another woman, and I found out like a day or two later, he and that woman had been plotting my murder for months by the time I came to find out about it. And if you can imagine, just living your life, doing your best, surviving your marriage, and finding that out, it's a record scratch moment. It's like, what? And you're threatened on every level, as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, as a child of God. as a human being, but also as a coach. I've been coaching faith-based marriages and relationships for about 5 or 6 years by the time that happened. And so if you can imagine building an entire identity, building an entire platform, ministry, if you will, based on one particular idea, the idea of staying married at all costs, and having that be the very thing that has fallen on the floor at your feet. It was a very humbling time. It was a very transitional time in my life. And, I had a choice to make. I could allow the identity that I had said yes to, the identity my former husband had for me, that I agreed to, that gave me a certain way I was allowed to practice my faith, a certain way I was allowed to live, how, there were limits on who I could be and who I could not be, and choices I could make and choices I could not make. And I could allow that to tell me how many days I had left on the planet, pretty much. Or I could choose life. So through a divine set of events, and I mean divine, like I'm not just like joking. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. You'll have to find out for yourself. I actually, through a divine set of events, God saved my life. I'm here. My children and I are healthy. We're continuing to grow and be strong. And I wrote a book through all that ordeal, and not just that ordeal, but my life even prior to. And when I'm in here, it's a little harder for you to see it. But the book is called I Choose Life. I'm turning it so you can see it. I Choose Life. Rewrite your love story and change your legacy. And we're not just talking about a romantic love story, although that is part of legacy change, but how we learned to love and how we learned to be loved is a story that existed before we met any partners, any romantic partners. And so that's a story worth revisiting. Are we only loved when we work? Are we only loved when we achieve? Are we only worthy when we've earned it in some sort of way? And for many of us, there is a fill in the blank to that. There is something. Hey, Monique. So glad you're here. For so many of us, there is something that we are holding up as, I'm not worthy until blank. I don't really deserve love until blank. I can remember when I was a kid. Now, a lot of folks were thin and healthy in their youth, and then as they get older, they have weight gain, and they say, I want to get back to the time when I was thin, when I was in my 20s, when I was a track star. Okay, not my story. I was a fat kid, and I had a great Aunt Ruth. Now, y'all, I'm dating myself, but this was back in the time where long distance calls cost money, and cost extra money. And you're only, we got the long distance call from your great aunt in another state, and everybody had to take turns to get on the phone and say hi, and, hurry up because we're paying by the minute. It was like that. And so she would get on the phone, and she was an older lady, in her 80s or 90s, and I was a kid. So, it's one of, hi, Aunt Ruth. I had an Aunt Ruth. Hi, Aunt Ruth. I'm fine. How are your grades? Okay. It's one of those. Y'all. Consistently. And I'm pretty sure my parents put her up to this. I'm pretty sure. She would say, hey, Dallas, how you doing? I'd say, I'm doing good. She'd say, you still fat? Yes, ma'am. I mean, what you get? I'm not going to lie. Yes, ma'am. She says, you still fat? You won't have a boyfriend. If you lose weight, then you get a boyfriend. Don't you want a boyfriend? You gotta lose weight. Yes, ma'am. I'm just saying that to a child. And I believe her intentions were good, and she was doing what she thought would help, somebody get healthy, I guess. But that's an example of, I don't deserve love until I'm thin, right? Well, that's not a good thing to say to a child, right? And I don't think she was trying, but that's the message. So for a lot of us, we're waiting until something happens, to be seen, to be loved, to be worthy, to be enough. And those stories exist before we meet partners that exploit that. And the exploiters are abusers. And we didn't cause their choices. We don't cause them to mistreat us. But when we allow the mistreatment, we're agreeing with that. Yes, I need to earn. Or yes, this is what I deserve. I deserve this kind of treatment because I'm not worth it because, right? Not worth it because I'm fat. I'm not worth it because I'm black. And yes, that does happen. That's why I said it. Because it does happen. That is a story that women of color feel. That they don't deserve love or attention or promotion or wealth. Or that's for those white people over there. Like, it doesn't matter what your story is. It doesn't matter what your story is. Know that there is a story. And in order for you to change it, you must know it. So that's where the strategies in this book help you see your story for what it is. And that now you have the power to make changes. So, hey, Yusifini, I see you. Somebody told me that I received my bachelor's degree and it traumatized. Oh, not bachelor's, BS degree. I didn't look for a job for a long time. Wow. Words are so powerful. Words are so powerful, and what we choose to label ourselves with is really powerful. And so I only have, she says, I struggle when going on interviews. Wow. So I only had one point to share today, but this is all within the same theme of being in our own way. Being in our own way. And I'm so sorry that happened to you, Yusifini. Just like Monique is saying here, we are worthy of love and respect because God created us. And because it's just true. It's just true. Now we have to choose to live in our power. God gave us power. He gave us worth. He gave us love. He gave us all that we need. It's our choice to use it. Or not use it, or leave it on the shelf and say, I don't deserve that. And to be honest, as a believer, we are celebrating Passover, which is God's first illustration of his redemptive plan for us. Beautiful illustration, real life illustration. And, what did he die to give us? What did he die to give us? Or what I would say, what did he die to connect us back to? Because he created us with worth. He created us with love, with power, with strength, with high self-esteem, right? God created us that way. And we live in a sin-fallen world. It's full of the other message. And I believe Christ's sacrifice is a bridge to reconnect us to what was intended for us to have in Eden. Right? And we're so disconnected from that. We're so disconnected from that. And what I would encourage Yusifini and Monique and myself, because we're all in this growth journey together, is to be reminded and to choose. Guys, we can choose the labels we put on. Just because somebody said it doesn't make it true. And I would say that any time that we are offended by someone's words, it's because we believe them. It's because there's something in us that believes that thing is true. Otherwise, we wouldn't fight. If somebody walked up to you and said, you were a different race, oh, Monique, I think you're Asian. And you'd be like, what? No. Well, I really do. I think you're an Asian woman. You'd laugh at them because you know that that's not the truth at all. But if they say something that you believe is true, but you wish were not, now we're offended. Now we want to fight. Now we need to argue. Now we need to prove. Right? And the the stuff that we're fighting to prove and we think we're proving to someone else, the someone else is involved with themselves. They're not involved with you, right? Like you're involved with you. But we think we're proving to the world. I'm going to prove to my haters. Yo, they don't care. Okay? We're mostly proving to ourselves. And it's a losing battle because no matter how much evidence exists, if the core belief didn't change, we just fight for more evidence. And fight for more. Yeah, but. Right? And I've done this with myself. Like, I was like, because the story is you fail at this, right? Even if there is evidence to the contrary. There is evidence to the contrary. No, that's not true. And literally I'm having this conversation with myself, like today and yesterday. No, that's not true, because this happened, and that happened, and this happened, and that happened. That's not true. So you have to talk yourself out of the lie that you're using to restrict you. And I'll tell you this too. We can make God's gift about us. And that's really what I wanted to what was on my heart when I started this live. Are we in our own way? Because I've been in my own way in a sense. We do amazing events. I have the absolute honor of creating sacred spaces where women connect with God, they connect with themselves, they connect with each other, and they come out changed. And it's just phenomenal what God does. With our retreats, our sanctuary retreats, which actually the next is coming up next weekend, as unbelievable as that sounds. And I was praying today, and I just repented. I just repented for not aggressively sharing. And this is the same as like why people don't evangelize, right? We love God. We believe Christ came for our sin. We believe he raised from the dead on the third day. We believe he's returning. We believe if you end your physical life without receiving Christ, you have an eternity in darkness and without God. We believe those things, but we don't evangelize. For lots of reasons, but mostly fear and ego, right? Like mostly making things about ourselves. And I had made some things about myself. And I repented and was like, I'm sorry. You gave me the gifts you gave me. You gave me the call you gave me. You supplied the resources that you did so that I could accomplish the goal. And I have not been aggressive. I've been not passive aggressive. I would say like lackadaisical and apathetic. That's really the word. Apathetic about inviting people. And I know that it takes like 1,001 invite. You gotta like talk to your blue in the face. And that's not a prospect I get excited about. I don't get excited about that. However, I should be banging on doors because I know what difference it makes in the hearts and the lives of women. I know that they turn around and they're connected to their purpose. And they didn't even know they were going to be connected to their purpose. And they leave connected to their purpose. I know that they go back and they are better mothers, better wives, better sisters, better daughters. I know that they're better church members. I know that they're making differences in the lives of the people around them. I know this 10,000%. And yet I'm not posting, right? Like I'm here, I'm telling you, and I'm not posting, and I'm not sharing, and I'm not following up and doing the stuff it takes to reach the people that need this. And so I repented today, and I said, I'm sorry for getting in the way and making this about what I felt like I had time for and what I felt like I had capacity for. because that's making it about me. And I'm going to read your comments in a moment. But I want to encourage you. Whatever it is that God has placed in your hand and your heart, not to make it about you. Because we get in our own way, and it only stops us. A mentor of mine says, your desire reveals your design. You know, birds want to fly because it's in them to fly, right? All the animals, the instincts they have are instincts, right? It's what God gave them to do, and they want to do it. The same is true for us. What's in our heart to do is there because God put it there. It's there because God put it there. And if we decide, if I decide I don't have time to pursue, then I can't be upset when it doesn't happen, right? And so many of us find ourselves in those places where we're living life, we are existing, we're paying bills, we're raising kids, we're surviving every day. That same coping and crisis dance I talked about at the beginning of this episode, where, you know, you're barely making it. You're not thriving, you're not doing great, but you're like barely making it, and then crisis happens and you recover from crisis. We can live our entire lives like that. Think about our careers, think about our businesses, our ministries, think about our bodies. We can be in coping and crisis with our bodies. We get workarounds to work around health issues instead of addressing them, right? We get workarounds to deal with burnout instead of addressing a lack of purpose in our activity. Okay, there's so much that we survive because we're good at surviving. And there's a season for survival, right? If you're being abused, there's a season, like, you just got to survive. And there's a season for walk away, right? And that's a crisis management. And there's a whole time for, like, I'm not touching my triggers. I'm not digging into nothing. Like, I am just making it from one day to the next. There is a time for that. However, that should not be our entire lives. It should not be our entire lives. This is how people wake up at 65, 70, and haven't done the thing that has been in their heart to do. And they blame everything except them. Oh, it was the circumstance. Oh, it was my family. Oh, it was the sacrifices I had to make for this person or that. Oh, I had to do this. Oh, I had to do that. Guys, we've got one chance here on the planet. And I'm not saying everybody's got to go do like some big business. Like, whatever's in your heart to do. Hey, I need to plant a garden. It's in my heart to plant a garden, but instead I'm doing this other thing over here. Go do what's in your heart to do, and don't make excuses that don't matter. There is sacrifice, right? Like, it's hard to make time to do things that aren't pleasurable. Like, it's hard. Not saying it's not hard, but we're already doing things that are not fun. Right? We're already doing things that are difficult. We're already making sacrifices. We stay busy. I promise you, I was at a gathering all day today, in-person gathering with about 90 people. I promise you, every single person I spoke with, hey, how's it going? How you doing? I'm fine, tired, busy. Like, we say this stuff like it is true. We also wear tired and busy like honor badges, like I've earned something. We use busy to feel important. We use busy to feel important. When busy is just busy. It's not productive, it's not useful, it's not necessarily impactful, it's not doing anything, it's just busy. Do you want to get to the end of your days and be like, yeah, I was busy? Right? Like, we do so much pushing. What is it for? And are you getting anywhere closer to where you want to be? And if the answers are I don't know what it's for and I'm not getting any closer, I would submit to you that perhaps you're in your own way. And this is not a call to easy, but you're already doing hard things. You're already doing hard things. Let's do hard things that matter and that move us forward. So I like what you said. You said he's surviving and not living. So many of us live that way. And you say, I tell myself I don't want to die and never got the chance to live. That's absolutely correct. And we have the chance to live. Like we already have it. We already have it. Don't wait for your chance. Because you don't have to wait. God's already given it to you. You already have everything you need for a life of godliness. It's life of something in godliness. But we have everything we need. So I'm reading the comments. Give me the strength and wisdom to move out of my own way. Absolutely. My prayer for all of us, I have to talk to myself to get out of bed, go outside to do everything. And that's good. That's good that you're talking to yourself. That's good. Keep doing that. I do it, especially when my body is not feeling like I want it to feel. I'm like, okay, we're going to get up now. We're going to get up out of this chair. We're going to go across the room. We're going to get that thing over there that we need. You can do it. Come on, let's go. It's okay. That's totally okay. But I just want to encourage all of us to do things that matter. If you're watching this on the replay or you're watching here live, what came up in your heart that you're like, hey, I need to go do this thing? Let's be accountable to each other. Okay? You can share with me. It's okay. What you want, what's in your heart to do. Whether that's a little thing, a big thing, personal thing, business or career thing. I want to cheer you on in your goals. I want to cheer you on in what sets your heart on fire. Okay? And ladies, we're doing something special in a week and a half. It's called Sanctuary Experience, and I am going live straight from Facebook today, so I don't know how to pop up the link that I normally would. Yeah, I don't know how to do that here. But I will tell you, I can do it here in the chat. Ha ha. It is, and hopefully I'm doing this correctly, the reboundcoach.com/sanctuary. Yeah, I had to pause so I spelled it correctly. You can go to the reboundcoach.com/sanctuary and get the details. I know that's a week and a half away. I know it's a 3-day retreat. I know all the things. I know. If it's in your heart to do. Don't make excuses, make way. I know that God's a way maker. He's done it for me. And I'm talking about childcare and transportation and everything that's needed when we say yes. So I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm saying the ones who you know it's for you. Don't make excuses. Let's just go. Let's go. God's going to meet us. God's going to meet us in those rooms. His presence is so thick there. It's such a beautiful experience. And I'd love to have you there with us. So you can check that out at thereboundcoach.com/sanctuary. Feel free to pop in the comments what blessed you about this episode. It's a short episode. Next week is Sanctuary Week, and so that will probably also be a short episode because there's lots going on. But I'm excited. I'm encouraged, and I hope that you're encouraged too. We all can get out of our own way and go be great. So, until next time, Thanks so much for joining me, and choose life.